You're good to go, Al. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the October meeting of the Arts, Culture, Education, and Streetlight Committee. It's a pleasure to see everyone here. Hope you're enjoying this fabulous fall New York City weather. And you folks up there in on the Zoom, how are you? Glad to see you. Just a gentle reminder for committee members. MC4, as you know, has adopted a hybrid meeting policy whereby we will meet both in person and virtually. For community board committee meetings will require an in-person forum to come to order and conduct business. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability or an extraordinary circumstance as defined by New York State open meetings law. Excused committee members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually. Committee members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on. We encourage members of the public to join virtually. The MCB4, the Community Board 4 hybrid policy can be found on our website. And of course, as always, tonight's meeting is still being recorded and is currently live streaming on YouTube. So with that, we'll take a swing around the table and introduce ourselves and then get started. My name is Alan Oster. I'm the co-chair of the ACES committee.
My name is Josephine Ishmael. I'm the other co-chair.
Leslie Lugosi Murphy, another co-chair.
Matt Green, committee member.
Charlie Todd, community member.
Katie Stokes, community member.
David Warren, community member. And up in the Zoom, we have
Devon Bowen, Workforce Development Specialist for the Hudson Guild.
as a member.
And Jockers, Hudson Guild Executive Director.
And Greg Morris, CEO of the New York City Employment Training Coalition. I am also a community board member.
So let's get the show on the road. We had a very interesting presentation coming on board, and Josephine's going to give us a little intro to that.
Well, I think we might want to do the, we're doing a public session first, very quick. I think I see Sarah Newman. Yeah, just would you mind bringing her over, Sarah Newman? She's here to talk about this book drive. We talked about this the last meeting. And Sarah Newman, well, she can tell you that she's with Open Hearts Initiative and so she can talk a little bit about that, and then we can discuss it more during this discussion.
Sorry, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Sure. Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Newman. I am the Director of Organizing for the Open Hearts Initiative. We're an organization that works with communities to welcome and support neighbors who are experiencing homelessness. And we're really excited to partner on this book drive for the Hudson family residents and, potentially some other local family shelters as well. Happy to answer any questions, but I think, just to give some context, we often hear from family shelters in particular that there is a real need for books, for kids of all ages. So shelters like the Hudson family residents have kids ranging in age from, infants to teenagers, speaking English, Spanish, sometimes other languages as well. And just like any kids, they, want and need books both for entertainment and for learning. And this is something that often, gets, falls by the wayside because it's not necessarily considered, a key necessity. It's not something the city will provide. It's something that often, is left, for community members or donations to provide. So happy to answer any questions. Josephine, I'm not sure if there's anything else that'd be useful for me to talk about.
Katie has a question.
Yes. Hi, Sarah. Two quick questions. Have you done a book drive before? And I'm just wondering sort of what challenges you may have found if you've done a book drive before. And if you think that should there be are we looking more for non-English language books or more English language books? Those are my
Yeah,
two.
no, great questions. So we have done, we've sought book donations as part of larger drives before. This will be the first like specific books only drive that I've been involved in. But I would say I think it's pretty similar to toy drives that we've done, and in other ways similar to clothing drives and other types of donation drives. What we heard from folks at the Hudson Family Residence is that they are looking for books in English, Spanish, and bilingual. They didn't mention any other languages. I think that at that particular site, those are the main languages that folks speak, and they're looking for books for kids of all ages, all genders, all interests. It's possible though that, at other sites, depending on what sites, we get in touch with that might want and need books, that they may have other, language needs. But that's my sense for the one that has, specifically requested books.
Great, super helpful. And actually, sorry, one just follow-up question. And did they mention whether or not they need bookshelves?
That is a really good question. They did not, but I can check on that and find out.
Okay. Because I know that when I've been involved with other book drives, that has been an issue, that there weren't enough bookshelves. So
No, that's a great point.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah was kind enough to draft a flyer for the drive, so I think it's in the Dropbox. And we can look at that later. Great. But thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Is there anyone else in the public session that wants for 2 minutes?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, great. So tonight, the focus really is going to be, the presentation is on workforce development. And, since COVID-19, we have families that are still trying to get back on their feet. There's a lot of people in our district who need work. So Councilman Botcher has started a new initiative, the West Side Coalition, and it's an opportunity for residents of this area to get some training and hopefully get some employment to go along with that. And so on the education agenda for the next couple of months, we'll be looking at a couple of organizations in this area that are offering either training or some kind of programming, maybe for youth, but even adults as well. So the first one up on the list is Hudson Guild. So we're so happy to have them tonight to talk about what they are offering in terms of workforce development. So thank you. You guys are on, are you ready?
Sure. Very happy to be here and really pleased to be able to talk with you all tonight. I'm Ken Jockers, and I'm the executive director at Hudson Guild. And what we thought would be helpful is for me to give a little bit of an overview of how employment support and workforce fits into Hudson Guild's overall service agenda, including some of our youth programming, but then to have my colleague, Devon Bowen, who leads this effort in our direct service capacity, talk a little bit about how that program has launched in both in our programming, in working with Council Member Botcher, and then in the broader effort of the West Side Work Coalition, which your colleague on the board, Greg Morris, is also taking a leading role in. And if that makes sense, then I'll just jump into that. Does that work?
Sorry.
Yes, it does.
Terrific. So Hudson Guild, as most or all of you know, right, serves the West Side corridor between 17th Street and 65th Street with a whole host of programs, day services, and program activities to help anybody who lives or works or goes to school in the community to make progress on their own goals and to keep the neighborhood and the community strong. As you know, our programming starts as young as 2 years old, in early childhood, goes all the way through the span of life to older adults, some of whom are over 100 and still engaged in our programming. And so our intent all along is to make sure that people get the assistance that is useful to them so that they can make progress as they sort of move on in their lives. We've done that, as you know, for almost 130 years along the West Side. And we do that from 16 program locations, a third of which are in public housing, in sort of 4 developments along the West Side, a third of which are in public schools, and then the final third are in private spaces where we are either a program partner or just a straight up tenant providing service. Several years ago, our board, as part of its strategic planning process, identified several areas where we would like to do more. And among those was in helping neighbors prepare for, find, and keep jobs. And so that's what's led to our work in employment support. I'm delighted that about a year ago, Devon Bowen joined our full-time staff as a workforce employment specialist with a specific focus to his work. We knew, our board knew, and we knew that workforce development is a very large, complicated, important topic, that there are a number of organizations that do that work quite well, and we didn't want to reinvent that wheel. We wanted to work with other providers who do that already, but we knew that we had relationships and in-place services that would be valuable to our neighbors. So our focus has been to do individualized one-on-one case management and case assistance, working directly with individual job seekers, with a real focus on residents of the Elliott, Chelsea, and Fulton houses in Chelsea, to help people on an individual local basis to find jobs. That happened somewhat simultaneously with then candidate, now council member Botcher's specific goal and desire to improve employment opportunity along the West Side. And so he made that a priority, and he has really delivered on that priority by galvanizing a group of us, private employers, service providers, elected officials, to create the West Side Work Coalition. That group brings together those groups that I just mentioned, some of the larger and some small employers on the West Side: Google, Jamestown, Chelsea Market, Pfizer, Amazon, and then smaller but important employers as well, with Hudson Guild, Greenwich House in Greenwich Village, and several other important service providers, to really to have us work collectively to build a process where information is improved on hiring needs among employers, and that we, as the service providers, are doing all that we can to make sure that our systems feed into those employment opportunities so that the people that we know, either us as a service provider, at Greenwich House as a training provider, are making sure that we're in conversation with local employers, that we're doing the things that they need in order to hire more easily locally. And delighted that in his other role, Gregory Morris at the New York City Employment Training Coalition has also taken a leading role in that West Side Work Coalition. And that's an effort that we are building now, looking for more employers, more service providers, and others to join. So that's in the smallest nutshell that I can give you. That's the overview. But to the substance of the work that Hudson Guild is doing, I'm going to ask Devon Bowen to share the program that we have structured, which he runs, the work that he has started over a little over 10 months in working with individuals, and some of the early success that he has achieved in helping people find work. And then we're happy to answer any questions that you all may have. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Devon.
Good evening, everyone.
Sorry, I will just note he is wonderfully on message with his Hudson Guild sweatshirt. We had our all-staff retreat today. Everybody got a sweatshirt, and Devon's carrying it forward by wearing his.
Of course, I have to. I'm very dedicated. Good, good evening, everyone. Greg, how you doing? Can you guys see the slide that I have up?
Yeah.
We can, Devon, I think we're seeing speaker view. If you want to make a full screen slide, because we just see the side slides as well, but it's up to you, however you want.
1 second. Okay, so that's a little technical difficulty beyond my capability. But as long as you guys can see the slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so so I've created this slide to show, the progress. I want to give a special thanks to Ken Jockers, Wilson Kano, who's on, not on the call, but for giving me this opportunity to continue this work that I love to do. What we do: job application assistance, connection to credential upskilling agencies, and we serve as a reliable hub for employers to recruit local talent, as Ken just mentioned. So I've been, with the efforts with the Westside Workforce Coalition and the pre-existing job bank that and relationships that Hudson Guild have, I've been building off of that to, strengthen those relationships and to also let those businesses, the local businesses, smaller businesses, know that there's a lot of hidden talent within that catchment area, the Fulton and Elliott, Chelsea housing. To date, right, employee placement and retention status. So we have a total of, I believe, 19 hired, with respects to 3 being in training. Food handlers. So I'll start from the top. We have the food and beverage. We have somebody from Fulton Houses actually hired. We have 4 individuals doing maintenance, 1 in Chelsea Market, 3 for building skills. The security training, we partnered with a local security company who offers free training once you give them a referral from the Hudson Guild. That's 1 person that's actually in training right now to receive their 8 and 16-hour security training, and with hopes to transfer them to Diego with PPL events to help them get placed in either security concierge position. We have 3 porters placed with respects to 1 being hired about going on 2 weeks ago with the Times Square Alliance, who's also a part of the Westside Workforce Coalition. To date, we have 8 full-time construction workers hired with benefits. We have 2 individuals from Fulton Houses that's in Hot Red Kitchen currently to receive their food handler certification, and 3 individuals from the local neighborhood that has been hired doing clerical work. 1 is like my rock. She's the first person that I got hired on this initiative. She works for the Human Resources Administrator, started, as an intake person. She's since been, it's going on 1 year. November 12th will be 1 year she's been promoted, and she's an investigator for New York City Human Resources Administration. I'm sorry. Since November 2022, our employment support program has achieved significant success in placing individuals into meaningful employment opportunities. To date, we have successfully placed 19 in jobs, an additional 3 in apprentice and training programs, so it is actually 21. We now have a wait list of up to 43 people seeking our services. And these 43 people, just to break it down, they're from the local community, but primarily from the Elliott and Fulton House residents. Just knocking on doors, how we, going out into the streets once I see them congregated in front of the corner stores, giving them flyers, letting them know, our objectives, what we have going on, and, just things that they don't know that's happening in our community. The salaries of those hires range from $34,000 to $64,000 annually. A significant percent of our hires receive health benefits, sick pay, paid time off, and opportunities for career growth in their respective fields. Here's a story that I'd like to actually, dive deep into. Before I read this, I'll give you a backstory. This gentleman right here, I would always see him on across the street from Fulton houses, going in and out the buildings, running up and down. And I started just to say, hello, what's up? How you doing? What's going on? And just bring myself down. And he says to me, I always see you in the neighborhood. What do you do? I said, I work for Hudson Gill. He said, duh, you go in that building every day, but what do you do? And I explained to him that I'm a workforce development specialist. He had no clue that, Hudson Gill has started this workforce program. And just seeing him every single day, and I've learned so much about this gentleman. I've learned that he, as you will read here in the story, that he's just been released. He was incarcerated, justice involved individual. And this is a picture of Ron. Ron's journey began from a place of adversity. He had been incarcerated, facing limited opportunities upon his release. However, with his resilience and determination, Ron took ownership of his life and made a commitment to change his path entirely. Here in our program, we were privileged to play a pivotal role in his transformation. Enrolling in education, recognizing the importance of education and professional development. We facilitated Ron's enrollment in occupational safety and health administration, OSHA 40 training. Under our guidance, Ron completed his program within 2 weeks, gaining a valuable knowledge that will help him in the job market. Apprenticeship and tool acquisition. Motivated by his newly acquired skills, Ron was accepted into a 30-day prestigious low voltage and construction apprentice program. This opportunity provided him with a stipend that he used to purchase necessary tools required for his future career. Through our continuous support and guidance, Ron thrived in his apprenticeship, showcasing his commitment and skillfulness in the field. Ron and I worked closely, crafting a compelling resume and cover letter that effectively highlighted his reform, dedication, and determination. Together, we submitted applications to various agencies known for giving opportunities to individuals with justice-involved backgrounds. Through his persistence and our assistance, Ron was able to secure a full-time position as a laborer, complete with benefits, earning an impressive salary of $34,000 annually. Even though Ron has made significant progress, we understand that navigating a new world of work can still be daunting. To ensure his continued growth and success, we continue to meet. Through these sessions, we assist him in overcoming any hurdles that may encounter, providing guidance as he adapts to his fulfilling new chapter in his life.
Sorry, Devon, I'm just going to break in for a quick second. I want to give you all the credit you deserve. Ron's making $64,000, not $34,000, and it's an important difference. And good for you.
Thank you. Before I go on, I just want to reiterate and let you guys know, that this gentleman I met from the Fulton houses that was released from prison expressed to me that he felt as if he had no other option but to go back to doing what he was doing, right? Which was illegal work, selling whatever he was selling. And I, just with having conversation and him trusting and believing in me and me just guiding him, helping him build a resume, which he didn't have, but he had those skill sets. He had jobs, odd jobs, and didn't know that he can put those short-term jobs on a resume to get him where he is. He's highly skilled. These are the things that, I've been through personally. A workforce development training, right? Having a mentor, and in a part of my life, I didn't have that guidance, nobody to guide me. And with that program, which reminds me 100% like Hudson Gill, right? That's why I was so happy to be here. Provided that guidance and led me along the way, and did not release my hand until they felt that I was comfortable, right? because the work world was just like a whole new world for me. I didn't know, hard skills, soft skills. I just needed that constant person to go back to say, hey, I'm facing this challenge. This person is saying this about me at the job, and didn't know the conflict resolution skills, right? So Hudson Guild right now is helping several people. I'm a one-man show, as Ken mentioned, to develop those skills, those hidden talents, those hard skills, soft skills, and those trainings. And I say training, but a lot of folks wouldn't call it training because I'm doing like one-on-one case management sessions and giving scenarios, and it may sound like a little bit low for that person, to say the least. But remember that we're talking about individuals that haven't been in the workforce in a in a long time, or some that haven't been in the workforce at all. Um, the West Side Workforce Coalition, excuse me, is committed to create.
Hey, Devon, sorry, I'm gonna
Yes,
ask to just jump in again
sure.
quickly. So before we pivot to West Side Work Coalition, which is kind of the broader sort of systematic approach to creating opportunity, maybe we should pause for a minute, and if anybody has questions at this point, and again, our goal, as you've heard from Devon, has been to do smaller number, more intense and direct case service. Our goal has never been in this effort to move 500 people, from their current circumstances through training and into work. Again, other organizations do that and do it well. We wanted to be close to the ground, person by person. Devon mentioned that he is a one-person operation right now. Our intention is to continue that work. We're going to get through this first year, see how we've done, see what's worked well, see what needs to change or grow. And then our goal is to build out the funding so that we are, Devon +2 next year. And then, ideally Devon +5, running an initiative like this, but keeping it very personalized. So happy to answer questions about that, and then we should talk about the broader effort of West Side Work Coalition.
Okay, we have a couple of questions.
I think it's great what you're doing. This is fantastic. So I'm assuming it's mostly from Chelsea, Elliott, and Fulton, which is great. How many of the jobs are union jobs? And with the other 43 people on the wait list, do you have them at least in an interim program with somebody else, so they're not just, totally left out? I mean, are the other groups that you refer them over to? And just an idea, have you gone to businesses in Chelsea Mall, Chelsea Piers, Hudson Yards? But once again, I think it's fantastic what you do.
Good question. So I would say this about a handful. So there's 8 construction jobs. I say 4 of them are unionized jobs, and the others aren't. And in the interim, those folks on the waiting list are emailed employment leads weekly. Right. So what I do is, go into my job bank whenever I do have the time. And every Monday, right, this is a job bank that I came to Hudson Guild with. I get like a blast of different jobs. And what I'll do is have everybody's email and just like blast those jobs to them and let them know while they're waiting. Right. Just so that they're not in limbo, because, my goal, right, is to not create a bottleneck approach. Right. So I don't want to bring these folks in and have them sitting there just like the waiting list. You don't want them there, and then they start calling like, hey, what's my number? Where am I at? So what I do every week, every Monday, when those jobs come in to me, I would just shoot them out to those folks on the waiting list so that they can just start the process on their own. Right. Which will possibly help me when they give me a phone call and say, hey, that job that you sent me, I got through. Right. I'm a direct support professional, or I got through with building skills, and so forth. If that answered the question.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for the great work that you're doing. It's really just phenomenal. My question is, I know that you're only taking, we already have 43 people on the wait list, so, you know, you're not looking for more people right now, but how did you find the 43? Like, how do you market yourselves? How do people find you? And also, are you working with any schools, any high schools?
So, how did I find the 43? I would say 5% is from our older adult program. And I would say that the rest has come from me knocking on doors in every building in Chelsea and Elliott and Fulton houses and putting our flyer with our QR code under the door. So I have, you know, young men and young women, grandmom, calling me saying, "Hey, I got it," and my grandson and granddaughter needs a job, and I'm gonna give it to them, and they signed up, and it was just like. uh, One day it was 19, the next week was 35, and then, you know, I'm like, wait a minute. And this is just constant. So for instance, Hudson Gill is having a our Halloween, you know, haunted house, as well as, you know, putting those flyers on people's doors. And in between the crack, what I did was also bring flyers from our workforce development resume help program and put it under their doors as well, right? And that's for those individuals. I know that we have the email blast. Well, what has helped me, sometimes people like tangible things, right? A lot of people are stuck in that old way of doing things. They love that canvassing and just having something,
Some of
even
us
if
are done
they
for that.
yeah, even if they have like 50 papers on their table like I do right now. I love it because I know what each paper, you know, signal, I know what's on that paper, right? And, you know, some folks are not checking their emails every single day. And I wholeheartedly believe in just like standing up on the corner and canvassing. And then, you know, I guess some people that see me and they like, and start like walking away because they know what you know, what I'm about to offer. But for me, knocking on those doors and letting them know the services, um, it's my drive. It's what makes me happy. It's what makes me want to come to work every single day, right? To let these folks know that there are, you know, I feel like one of the most valuable commodities in life, and I say it all the time, is, you know, and I say it and I say it constantly. I say it so much that sometimes I forget, like just now, is information, right? Because there's a lot of people in Chelsea, Elliott, and Fulton, and around the surrounding areas, the school down the street that had no clue. Our neighbors, Callan Lord, who's now, you know, who's um, will be a part of, you know, our next WC meeting, had no clue of the services that Hudson Guild provided, right? So, you know, just to answer that question, just single-handedly handing out flyers and knocking on doors and having people tell me, "Go away, Jehovah's Witness."
Um,
That's
we-
impressive.
Yeah, and so you asked about high schools. While you know the bulk of Devon's work is really focused on middle years and employment candidates and older adults, right? But less on teen programming. We do work with local high schools. It's a combination of sort of education programming and some work programming. We run student success centers in 2 schools here in the corridor, High School of Fashion Industries and Hospitality High School. And that's a standalone sort of college access program where our staff train and supervise juniors and seniors to work with freshmen and sophomores on the college application process, right? Sort of on the idea that, so if I'm a senior, I've just gone through this whole process, who better to then turn around and talk to and work side by side with a freshman than me to say, hey, I just did this. This is how you do that. Those are 2 of our school-based programs. We also, more closely to the work issue, we run in our teen services programming something called the Work Preparation Program, WPP, which is funded internships for young people, right? It's one of the biggest challenges for a person preparing for work, right? You need money to get by and pay your bills while you're learning. And so WPP allows us to pay young people while they're interning and sort of getting introduced to the world of work. So just a little bit more, and then the last thing I would add, and is sort of a transition to the West Side Work Coalition. Devon has also been doing work on employment fairs, and notably one, and this is how local corporations are engaging. Google in the lead up to their new space at Hudson Square has put us in touch with some of the employers, some of the large scale employers there, like Restaurant Associates, so that we can make sure that we are bringing candidates to their hiring fairs as a way to increase opportunity with local hiring efforts.
Sounds great. I think we just have one more question.
Yeah, I just have one question. First of all, Devon, it really is comforting because it feels like there's the right person in the right position at the right time. So I think that's actually very encouraging because we don't see that too often. But so it's good. But I do have just one question about male and female. Are you finding that there are more women or men? Or I know it's a small sampling so far, but like, what are you seeing as far as the breakdown for that?
I say the breakdown is a little bit even, but a little bit more young men, and a lot of men from our older adult programs. Participants from that come in that's looking for supplemental income. So I'll say yeah, it's a lot of men. Um, I've had one slight hiccup is with placing those older adults due to age discrimination that's going on right now. And just me, they want to go into like full-time work knowing that they are on social security benefits and so forth. So I'm doing that like one-on-one, letting them know, hey, you have to do 19 hours or less or else you lose those benefits. And then it's a tedious task to get back on those social security benefits and so forth, right? So that's where Greenwich House comes in. And then I partnered with Greenwich House and Jessica Katoon, and they have a grant specifically to hire a job developer that caters to older adults, seniors only, right? So Ken, I don't know if this would be a good segue into the West Side Workforce Coalition and our partners,
Sure.
right, which is Greenwich House.
Yeah, please go. So, absolutely. If there are, unless there are other questions.
Devin, thank you again for all the work that you can, all the work you do. A follow-up to David's earlier question about union jobs. You mentioned apprentice programs, training programs. Are you finding easy access to these programs, to these apprentice programs? Are they available? Are they forthcoming to you? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes, a lot of them are readily available, and a lot of them are willing to work with individuals with justice involved backgrounds, which is amazing. I tend to just go to those agencies, community options, and there's a host of them that have cohorts, right? And they give the stipend payments $200 a week sometimes to those individuals, just to help them because they it's a 9 to 5 process Monday through Friday, and that stipend a lot of times help them to buy lunch and to save for things that they tools and things that they may need. So those programs are like readily available. Is just finding them, right? And knowing which ones are free, because a lot of times our neighbors don't have the funds. They have the skills but don't have the funds to acquire these licenses and certificates. And so right now there's an organization who's offering free HVAC certification, right? And then the program that Ron went in. They have another cohort starting next month, which I'll be, handing out information about low voltage electricity training, right? And they will receive a certificate and work with a job developer over there to help me find employment for them. So they're getting double the help. Right now, I'm working on helping them send their resumes out, giving them leads, even if it's sending Indeed job postings, whatever it may be, that one-on-one. And then they have the job developer from the other organization, right? So yeah, so those programs are available. It's just, helping those individuals in our community find them and locate those you know
Thank you.
So yes, so switching gears quickly to Westside Work Coalition, right? So so you've heard our sort of direct service piece, and just a quick recap, right? This really is something that Councilmember Botcher wanted to see happen and has really put in the work to help build. So we now meet on a monthly basis, a group of employers, a group of service providers, some government reps, other interested parties, some of the bids, et cetera, to really just to sort of coordinate ourselves on making sure that opportunities are known and that relationships are built, and that there's a sort of a free flow of information among employers and people looking to help people get hired, so that people know that there are jobs out there when they are there, that we are in touch with the right people, so that we know what it means to apply for a job at Amazon or at PPL events, a smaller local effort, right? We don't want anybody to restructure how they hire, but we want to know how they hire so that we can figure out the best way to step in or to work our way in. And several of the large employers along the corridor have actively engaged in that, and more are joining. Councilmember Botcher is doing terrific work in recruiting companies to join this conversation, and he advocated in the city council for funding to help us build this network. It is very much in startup, but he has secured funding through the speaker to engage New York City Employment Training Coalition to help marshal this growing group of entities to make sure that we are all working together. And notably, it is Hudson Guild is involved in this with New York City Employment Training Coalition, and Greenwich House has brought a very important component as well in their newly opened training program and training activities, as Devon said, to help older adults prepare for available jobs and to support them in doing that. And so this set of organizations have been working together, and we are all now meeting monthly to grow that effort. Go ahead.
So more specifically, someone, what do you think that this new coalition is going to bring to your work? You'll be able to put more folks into the programs, or how do you see it? Your program expanding.
So I'm happy to answer that, but Devon, if you have an answer, and Greg, if you choose, I know we don't want to draw a community board member into presenting to the community board. We understand the rules, but so what I would say is, the example that I gave earlier about restaurant associates, right? So Google was in conversation with restaurant associates about opening Hudson Square, And they saw that as a prime opportunity to say, you know what, you guys are going to need to do a bunch of hiring there, and JLL, the real estate entity as well, they're going to have to do a bunch of hiring. Let's get you all to the West Side Work Coalition so that you're putting out the job opportunity notices to the right people who are talking to job seekers in the neighborhood. That's an example. When Chelsea Market and Google were opening up the new pier, same thing. Devon went over and met with the team that was opening that facility to talk about opportunities. Pfizer did the same thing. We sat down with the HR department in Pfizer and said, okay, you're opening this massive, employment place. Your headquarters is now here. What are you hiring for, and how do we get local applicants into your process? And so the head of hiring for that entity at Pfizer sat down and talked it through with us. Those are some of my examples, though others may have additional ones.
Yeah, I would just add here, if it's okay to do so, that the theory of the case, and there are examples of this in New York City, where there sort of employment networks or employer hubs can be created within neighborhoods. And what that means is it's a centralized location for employers to come to say, large and small employers, to say, we're looking for talent. We're looking for local talent. And that hub to be a centralized location where workforce development providers. And Devon is taking the lead in this project. The partnership is with Greenwich, but you've also heard a bunch of other workforce development supporting agencies connected to this, like Hot Bread Kitchen and others. The numbers, by the way, on the West Side, within reasonable distance from the centralized location being the housing development, Fulton Houses, there's like 40 different workforce development providers who have engagement within that particular space. So the prospect of those entities coming together to say, we're gonna do all the work that it takes to make sure that local job seekers are ready when those employers say, we're looking for talent to fill this job, this particular pathway, this particular opportunity, obviously all with a focus on quality wages, good jobs, career development opportunities is key. So all this to say that the value of the West Side Work Coalition is that it is intended to be this hub that employers can go to directly to be able to find ready job seekers for employment opportunities. And I will just note, as someone who's connected to the workforce development system across the city, which is very disjointed and very fragmented, and is disproportionately impacts many communities who are not able to find entry points to pathways. These types of employment networks have had good results in pockets of the city. So that one is being created here and has been developed here on the West Side under Hudson Guild's direction, in partnership with Greenwich House, partnership with the coalition, New York City Employment Training Coalition, has been seen thus far by folks in the mayor's office, folks in the economic development side of the house, as something to keep their eyes open on, because of the desire to see this be successful, to see local job seekers get access, and then something like this to be sustainable over time is a value to folks within the city right now. So I would just note to say it's a centralized hub, and that's what we're seeking to build.
Thank you.
I think we have 2 more questions, Matt.
Thanks so much for this information. And part of my day job, I've got 2 companies that are actually involved with the the West Side Coalition, and we've been participating at the press event and the monthly meetings. And so it's just a huge, important resource in the community. So it's great. I'm just wondering, what is it that we can do to be helpful as a community board to you all in this effort?
So I'll start, but please others jump in. I think there are a couple of things. One, certainly for the West Side Work Coalition, as more employers know about it, we'd love to talk to them, right? So that anybody, and that doesn't have to be, the big ones, right? It's fantastic to have them, but we're interested in employers sort of all sizes who are looking to hire locally. And so we definitely want those opportunities. I think, any assistance that we can do to work together on making sure that job opportunities are known and that are shared, both candidates and job opportunities, super interested in that. And then, in your, and advocacy, I would say, for the financial support for both the direct service employment assistance and the broader training and coalition work is very helpful. Anytime that our partners in government that have ties to budget, certainly ongoing support for us as we build these things is incredibly important.
Great, thank you.
I will just add to that to say, and this is as someone who represents, I'll say specifically the New York City Employment and Training Coalition, I'll just say to you that in pockets of the city where there has been most impactful outcomes in the development of these employer hubs, specifically, I'll point to the Lower East Side Employment Network, for instance, which was founded many years ago, resulted in thousands of jobs when there was, it was a specific orientation that when there was going to be planned or future development in that district within that community board's boundaries, the community board made an effort to let developers know you should keep your eyes on the Lower East Side Employment Network and make sure their folks know who is coming to this neighborhood and that there is a value being placed on hiring local job seekers.
Great. Katie?
Yeah, this has been so great to hear about and all of the efforts you guys are doing, but I'm a little unclear just about sort of the specifics of it. So you're saying that it's a hub, but I guess I'm wondering, are the businesses saying we'll sort of come here first, or it's a priority to it? So like before we post it on Indeed, we'll let you know, or this hub know, we're looking to fill 40 positions of this job. Like, are they, or is it? So I guess I'm wondering, how does it work? And do you then like have a list or a database of all the people who are looking locally? Like, how does it work? That's my question.
So me being on the ground, I can answer that question quite clearly. Good question. So we have a resume bank, just like we have a job bank, right? And that resume bank is filtered into different job sectors and employment sectors, right? So the goal, as you mentioned, would be for those employers with open positions to say, hey, Devon Bowen, we have 5 positions for, a maintenance worker, right, with benefits, and give us the employment details before they get those jobs posted on either their website or Indeed.com, so that we can go in our bank, right, in our resume bank, contact those individuals, see if they're still actively looking for work, and match them so that they can make sure they have, employment readiness checklist, right? So we have to be, so I go through that employment readiness checklist before I hand that person over and schedule an interview with for that prospective employment, for that job, right? So that's a little process right there. So we go through our job bank. So as you mentioned, the hopes would be before you put that job, that listing on Indeed or your employment, your business site, that you contact us to hire locally, right? Because we are in contact every day with the hidden talent, or these individuals that can do this job.
Great, thank you.
David?
Hi, I hope this is not too far-fetched. I was watching News One today, and they were talking about the Manhattan DA's office having people, when people are arraigned for petty crimes, not for serious crimes, they give them a metro card, they give them food, they try to work with them. If, let's say, for example, they find somebody who happens to live in Chelsea or in Fulton, maybe they could work, if you make an outreach, maybe they can outreach to you guys and get them. Maybe not a great job, but at least a job, something while they're waiting for arraignment or something, just to boost the psychological confidence. I mean, I think that would go hand in hand with what the DA's office is trying to do. And
We've had a few conversations with the district attorney's office, and they specifically approached us about working with individuals who go through the community court, right in the on 54th Street, and how there may be some programming opportunity. So we have had that conversation. It hasn't developed yet very much, but we have had that starting conversation with them about working with essentially first-time offenders. We'd certainly be open to working with other referrals. We are trying to keep the focus on NYCHA residents. So for, certainly for the time being. And so it would, we'd have to sort of triangulate. Our goal would still be people in that circumstance who also happen to live in Elliott, Chelsea, or Fulton.
I just want to piggyback off of that. Ken, I don't think that but we've already received about 4 referrals from New York City Department of Probation. Their program is called Neon Works, where they outreach organizations like the Hudson Guild and the NYCETCE to help find individuals, either employment opportunities or training programs to help, upskill them, right? Whether they're waiting to be arraigned or they have to complete whatever sentence they got on probation. Their job is, to reduce recidivism, right? By reaching out to individuals like us.
Terrific.
Great.
Super.
Okay,
Okay.
well, thank you so much. That was incredibly impressive. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for having us. Really delighted, really appreciate the interest and the support. We'll look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, likewise.
Bye-bye.
We have Pablo Torres from the Highliner.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So we're gonna just bring him over because he wanted to come and talk to. Pablo, I'm gonna bring you over now. Probably just have to take yourself off mute and we can hear you. There we go.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Camera's not working. I don't know if that's a setup thing or my computer, but there I am.
There.
Hey.
Evening.
Yeah, thanks for the time. So originally we were kind of asking to be on some of the committee meetings and the full board meetings because we have a teen employment program that this is recruiting time for us. Unfortunately, due to some budget issues, we won't be able to recruit. But I still want to be here for this conversation. So really I was here to hear it. And, we've been a part of the coalition as well. I've been working with Greg in NYCETC as well. And so, what the big change that our program had, and I think that's in line with the work that those folks are doing as well, is that the program's been around for a bit more than 10 years now, but it really felt like a camp for the most part. It was a place where, teens came and felt comfortable on the High Line, which was great. What we've changed in the last year or so is kind of make it more of a training program. And so we have 4 pathways that we think the High Line can kind of uniquely support. And so those are horticulture because of our amazing gardens, arts and culture because of our great art program, civic engagement because of the community work that we do. And last year especially, we're really involved in participatory budgeting and people's money as well. And then the last one is park and visitor experience. And it's really kind of just the idea of there's a lot of things that happen to make a park and the special events that come with that. And so we want to train our teens in that. The long-term goal is that we want to connect that to real careers. And so this is like their first and best job is what like how we like to tag it, but like it's the start of their career pathways. And so just this year we've had some teens who kind of came to us, like a lot of teens, like myself when I was a teen, like no idea what you wanted to do next, and got involved with our horticulture program, did an internship. In their second year, they do an internal internship, so we matched them with a department internally, and so they chose horticulture and just shadowed a horticulturalist for the summer, and just like decide, like really found that that was what they wanted to do, and so they're now applying to environmental studies programs. The same one of their other peers was in the same kind of program, but really attached to that and civic engagement and said that they want to be an urban planner. And so they're now applying they're actually starting urban planning school. And so those are the kind of things that we want to see more long-term. Because of the budget cuts, next year really will be, we still have 35 teens instead of 45. So it's not like we don't have a program, but what we are trying to do is kind of do some program evaluation and really think through what are the objectives we're trying to reach with this, and how are we kind of like making sure that our outcomes are clear around that stuff. Like a lot of the programs that are part of the West Side Work Coalition, I think what we're finding is just like funding these programs is difficult, and it's not something that folks are jumping to fund. And I think it's more of a messaging thing, because once we message and talk to folks, they're like, yes, this makes a lot of sense, we should fund this. But I think that's probably a place that a lot of the smaller orgs that are kind of involved with the workforce work are finding. And so like there was a question of like, what can you all do? And I think it's thinking about that, you know, how do DYCD dollars go to programs like ours? And I think for us, like we have to do a better job of coming to community boards, of going to other places and just letting folks know we're here. My first year at the Highline was a lot of going to these workforce development events and people being like, why are you here? What does the Highline do? And like, nobody really knew that we had this program, right? And so that's one of the programs that I oversee. It's a very important one, but we're also in schools. We do family programs. Like there's all these other things as well. And so I think that's a bit on us to get that word out. But like now that the word is out, I think places like community boards are just really great at kind of pushing those levers of, you know, like, hey, there's an opportunity there, those matching things as well. In addition to like when we do recruit, our focus is on locals. And so local schools is where we do almost all of our recruiting. And then along with Fulton and Elliott houses as well. Sorry, it's bedtime for my 1-year-old, so you might hear some stuff.
Thank you, Pablo. I just have one question. So you said that most of your funding that comes from DYCD, is that right? Correct? No,
we have some pass-through DYCD funding. That's like the council member Botcher and before Corey Johnson were good to us, and we have some pass-through, but we don't. So DYCD has like a program. Almost our entire funding is board generated and private funder generated. DYCD has a program that I've been really interested in. It's called the Work, Learn, Grow program. And it's an internship program that so DYCD, most of what people think of them as SYEP. We just, because we don't have like a space, it's kind of hard for us to do an SYEP program. But this other program, it's like, in my mind, it's what we do, right? We have these classes where we do these pathways, they're working, they're on the Highline. And so I think I've been trying to kind of figure out like who's the folks over there that we talk to impress that here's what we do and we think there might be a match. But no, just the majority of our funding is actually by one of our board members. And we've been doing more and more development work, external development work, to try to get foundations more interested in our work as well. And so part of that is we could use more government funding as well. It's not a place that we've focused on before.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you so much for coming and sharing that.
No problem, thanks, and hopefully next year we'll be back to do some fun recruiting, and not just letting you know that we're here.
Okay, take care. We'll talk about a possible letter.
Do we need to, if we wanted to, I don't know if they're in here somewhere, the budget priorities.
The West Side Work Coalition and Hudson Guild.
No,
I
they're
don't, yeah,
You can do
so.
a thank you, you can do a thank you to.
But
That's a
I
good-
can't remember,
Hmm?
I can't remember right now if there's supposed to be a letter if we wanted to add them. Yeah,
There's supposed to be a letter.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to add them to the budget. Yeah, it'd be great if you guys could do it. I mean, if you want to do it, add them to the budget and do a letter.
Could that letter be? So I feel like with a budget letter. You need to be somewhat specific with what you're asking for.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have that level of detail, or previous letters have that information, like
Yeah.
you want. Just thinking of $50,000 out of this to go to this and.
I don't think Hudson Hill was really asking for it, other than
No, I mean, Ken did say that, you know,
take
like
the word out.
advocating for financial support is important to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that, we could have had, I guess.
They were looking to step up.
Yeah, that's why, thank you,
Another agenda.
something about the program and, you know, CC to everybody, just get the word out.
I'm sure we could get that information.
Yeah.
Between now and when the letter has voted on, if we wanted to, but that is all up to you. I mean, but I'm sure we ask for further details, we can get it, but if you all think that is a, you know, something to advocate for. And if you'd like to include it into your, this year's discussion about budget priorities, then, we can just, but. So,
I mean,
Now the task force.
we've talked, this isn't the first time we've talked about workforce development and the importance of it, so I think it's a great thing to support and. And the fact that they're doing such a great job, it sounds like you're trying to sort of. Organize all the businesses, you know, and focusing on. Nighttime housing, I think we should advocate for it and. Get a little more detail about what would be helpful money wise, I mean, not like, you know, millions of dollars, but I think we should ask for something for it, so.
At least for another staff member, like they're saying,
Yeah.
from 1 to 1 to 2, I mean, that would be a specific.
should have asked.
Could ask us for that.
Yeah,
No, I was just wondering if we know, because this just started, I mean, it really just started, and to see how it develops and what money is needed where, maybe, I don't know, to wait, is it fully funded now for the year? I mean, what is the, you know?
Well, there's two different things, there's a new program they just started, incorporated, Hudson Hills has been doing this for a long time.
Right, so this
I
could
think we
be.
should maybe just focus on
Hudson
Hudson Hill,
Guild, right,
and do something for them in terms of.
Sure. I'm a little confused because right now, city proposing draconian cuts. So I think this, and what we can ask, but I have a feeling we're gonna get bumpers because.
Well, you have to ask them, you know, you have to put a paper trail.
yeah,
Right.
because people need employment, I mean, that's just the bottom line, or.
no, why it's free?
Yeah.
We're talking about next fiscal year. We're talking about next fiscal year. We're not talking about the cuts that are happening this fiscal year. We're talking about what starts in. In June next year.
June 2024.
Yes.
So if we were to do a letter, it wouldn't be part of this list, it would be part of. No, it would be.
No, you could advocate for, you guys wanted to do a letter today saying thank you, Ken, thank you, Yvonne. So glad, you know, we really like the program, we hope it goes well. We're also, we can't wait, we hope it expands and goes into the future. Like that's done, and we get further details from Ken. And then that I think would give you the backing to say, okay, you want to put that into our priorities that in FY 25, that the program continues and is expanded. And that's it.
It will be injected in our next agenda item. And put it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we say that language all the time, and we say that like the program we wanted to be continued in, but we wanted the funding to be expanded.
So Jesse, who would this letter go to then?
I mean, I'd have to clarify as to, if what agency or something along those lines we would want to do it to. We can figure that out. I mean,
You're
Eric,
saying something about the speaker.
yeah, I mean, it definitely includes Eric, obviously, Eric is the igniter of the flame for this whole project. But at the end of the day, I mean, we send the document to the city. I mean, it can certainly include, we hope that Eric reads the document, but I think we want to attach some city hall level, someone on the city hall side of things.
Yeah, this could be,
But I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
We'll figure that out.
it could be Botch's, input, financial input, maybe he is to use, maybe just when you're elected.
It could, but he has to then pass it through to somebody, right? So it's not normally like he's writing a check and it going. It's like, usually it passes through, so we'll find out.
So can I make a motion?
Actually, can I just ask a quick question? So we heard about what Hudson Guild is doing, and we're talking about saying like, we hope that expands and that's awesome. We also heard about what Botcher's gotten organized about the West Side Work Coalition. I'm just wondering, are we being silent on that, or are we also proposing to say like, that sounds awesome too, and we hope that goes forward?
I actually didn't understand the distinction that was made. I thought this was one. This is Hudson Guild's youth employment opportunities, or no, this was, wasn't the presentation just on the West Side Work Coalition? Like Devon was hired specifically to do the work for the coalition.
I don't think so. I don't
No,
know. Yeah, he works for Hudson Guild.
I understand. No, I understand that. The funding that came to hire Devon was for the workforce coalition, like the West Side.
He's been there for well over a year,
No,
2 years.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, yeah.
I mean, maybe, yeah, I don't know.
I think the coalition is just an expansion to bring more, more
Local business.
local and go into different areas, maybe other community groups.
But I think that's what we're saying.
He insinuated that he was part of the program.
Right, I think he's doing both. I think he's working for Hudson Guild, right, and doing the very sort of personal one-on-one, helping people find jobs. And he's also helping coordinate now as part of the West Side Work Coalition, this bigger effort.
And he was supplying.
No, we want to support both.
He himself. was part of it.
But I think we, because they are, I think,
Okay. I think so. I just think that the letter should reference both. That's all.
Yeah, well,
So
the West Side is going to expand their work and their outreach, that's why they're going to get involved.
So the focus could be for Hudson Guild to get more staffing, or at least an additional staff member for them. And then that we also appreciate the work that the West Side Coalition, this partnership that they have.
And we hope that they expand or something like that.
Right.
And are we considering a letter for Highline at all?
No.
This is that most of their funding comes from board or private, yes.
Yeah, and then in the future, just before you make your motion, just want to make sure.
No, it's good, because my motion is what Katie just said. A letter including with all the points we just.
someone second that? I
Sure.
second it.
Who made the motion?
Oh, they did. I mean, doesn't mean I'm writing the letter. This one.
Voting, this one.
In favor, I'm in favor.
You can't vote.
Thank you.
Sorry.
My vote doesn't count, but I agree.
Anybody, opposed?
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm not sure, I guess. Technically, he's in the same situation as Angus, so I mean.
Oh, but at least Angus did.
I know, but I'm not gonna.
Alan, did you want to take over this part?
Okay.
I need some more. Maybe something a little soon.
Just go to the drawer and the card and print it. I took a computer. All right, I'll look
I
at
said,
the.
I'm happy, she's offered you that, she's offered you the right to allow.
I'll send
Oh,
it
yeah,
to
right to go out.
Let's-
Happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
He's like, I'll draft a letter, or Matt, you do that. Charlie, by the way, Charlie. It's very friendly.
Yes.
So, budget time, I have a question for Matt. Something that came across, go back into your mental thought that, back in. It has to do with something that's on here, we have a request from the West Side campus, the Barton High Schools, the West Side campus for auditorium. That encompasses like 5 students. Back in July of 22. We had a budget statement from the council's office. $500,000 to renovate the auditorium at the Park West Educational Campus. Did that ever happen? Did that money, you know, what ever happened with that at all?
What number are you talking about?
This is, no, this is on a separate page, this is just.
I think it's a precedent.
There is a, on the other sheet, there's a couple of schools that are looking for auditorium updates and think about. So they're curious about this particular thing. No.
I
Nothing.
don't know, I could, so this was a request that came in last year, you're wondering what the update might be?
No, this is a request, you know, when, from, Bill Johnson's office when he was there, in terms of what you guys were funding at that time.
Park West, is that in Hell's Kitchen, is that from 50th?
50th Street, there's 4 schools.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No?
I mean, don't quote me, I would have to double check it here.
So did you say you just want to focus on the top?
Yeah, that's.
So we're not here all.
Right, that's for the record.
Wait,
You can stand right on, as we'll do on probably Thursday. So we want to focus on 4, let's say, maybe 5 top expense items, and the same for capital improvements. And then we have a number of new requests and follow-ups on that double sheet from principals that came in this year. And then we have also a request from a superintendent, that we had a message from that is looking for funding for alternate at the school program. So I think we could certainly start off with, you want to start with expenses or capital, and what are questions?
Expense.
Expense. Still expense. Okay.
So for the expenses, I don't know how much of this is still relevant here, but I would go with the after-school program, and that is what the superintendent asked for. That's the #1 ask right now, because after-school programs in elementary school are still not free, so CASA does a lot of work in that area to make it, so it is free for a lot of children, but we have some of our schools are a third asylum seekers now, and they need these programs so that parents can work and so forth. So that was the top, I think that should be the top priority.
So number 13 should.
So move that.
So we're all bilingual educators, you wanna drop?
And he didn't even mention that, so it's not that I want to drop it, but I just think that the priority right now should be the after school programs. So.
So you want to make it, yeah, so you're just pushing it down and making.
Right.
I'm looking at 27 and number 35. And I'm just curious, first was moved to something, I think like that out. Yeah,
Continuing studies.
okay, so the next one, somewhat handled. And then it's the agency supposed to request for funds.
Could you talk, which one are you talking?
27, this is the increase funding for sanitation for specifically supervised to company street sweepers and alternate side parking of many parked cars are not being used as required. So they're saying the support Swift, but due to this constraint, funds are unavailable. But in a way, and this is where these people don't think, I know this sounds bad, but you know, you ticket a car, you're getting funding. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, but did this mean this is rejected? What is due to financial constraints? I mean, to me, that's what it.
That means the agency supports it. If they have the money, they have the money, so they're not gonna wait.
But to me, that's a lame response, and I know this, you're not being.
Well, yeah, but look, David, I want to be able to move.
Yeah.
I want to be able to.
Basically,
I get the responses are lame, right? They're always, they
90%.
historically been lame.
They say it's to generate questions.
I understand.
A short answer, funding has been restored to the point of basket pickups.
So 13 is gonna be number,
So
our
that's just.
number one.
What proposed? The proposed is what we'll have, the number, the third highest capital, which is the after school, to be your first highest.
Okay.
Priority capital.
Okay.
Can I just ask something? And we
Yeah.
could, I think you're taking notes, right?
Yes, yes, I am.
Because I'm gonna ask you for this tomorrow.
I think we still need the bilingual educators and social.
That's number two?
Well, also, we have, with the budget task force, and Jesse has twice now sent out.
Sorry?
Twice sent out a district, needs survey. And again, I mean, we're gonna go over this on Thursday, but again, trash cleanliness is top three. And then, and this is the last time ACES has sanitation, I think. But, that's just so you guys know, that's gonna be a priority when we go to the overall, just because it's gonna fill in our narrative of the top three.
What were the top three on the
Same, it was the same, affordable housing, public safety, and quality of life coupled with sanitation, which we did last, so just.
And home, I mean, there's a mixture of homeless services, homeless services, sanitation and quality.
Listen, you just want to take a moment, just explain how the whole thing works in terms of, just because sanitation, let's say garbage pickup is number one on the CB4 list, it doesn't mean that it's number one for education, so education is broken down.
Right, so yes, we definitely prioritize 1 through 30, whatever it is. Everyone, like we put all of the committee's requests in one, or Maria is also on the budget task force. But it does go to separate agencies, right? So even though like we're gonna do after school is gonna be number one, and say we do sanitation number two, right? It's gonna go to sanitation if they're our number one for sanitation. Does that make sense? Like they're not sanitation, the DSNY is not gonna see DOE's, our DOE asks.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
For this, because we have a lot of sanitation in the capital. And I think for the sake of right now, I think the one that would actually cover the most ground in terms of the request is actually 35.
We were doing expense, we didn't go in category.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in expense, I apologize.
Yeah,
I meant
no,
expense.
sorry, that's what
I
he
said
said.
capital, I meant expense.
Oh.
But same point, most of your expenses dedicated to sanitation. And I think 35 actually covers the most ground in terms of the concerns of the community.
Yes.
And I think it's the baskets and it's the precision cleaning team. And that's been the specific requests of our sanitation superintendent in District 4 every year. And I think it's always gonna be that way, especially now when he's getting cut. And so I think if we wanted to streamline a lot of the sanitation for now and make it like that a big one. I'm not saying we should prioritize it particularly like above education. I'm just saying because we'll have to figure that out of the task force, but I think that is at least the one that like covers, is a good catch-all.
So then 30. Yeah.
They're kind of reject that, like.
Well, that's two sanitation.
When you look at number 42.
Wait, hold on, can we just, go ahead, you were saying just.
So one would be after school programs, two would be sanitation, the corner baskets, which is now 35. And then for like 3, we could do another, I want to hear what David has to say, but we could do another education.
I think we do that.
But I think that, I don't know if I could do bilingual education, because Kelly said didn't say anything about that. He said,
Or did I just hear a different presentation about it? I don't know.
Hold on.
Oh,
David, I'm sorry.
So there was two things that I really like and it's number 42, which is other expenses provide support resources for the Little League, the local nonprofit funded in June of 2020 by a local Hell's Kitchen resident response to increased stress. Now, the agency requires additional information. To get more information, OMB supports this. So maybe, we can get, I don't know. I think that's great because it's involving people, volunteers and people from our community actually doing things, people that we know. I think this is Katie Savage's group. So I think this would be great because we know these people, we know the good work and it's part of the community. I think that if we can add don't kill me, a 5. Put that as number 5 or something like that. No, well, not literally, it's actually number 42, 5 support resources. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it already has a lot.
I know it's a private nonprofit, it's very tricky.
You're at 5, let's make sure we understand, we know 1, we know 2, and then we have the question is what we want to do for 3.
3, I would do the the keeping up with the electronic devices, the maintenance. Kelly had asked for iPads,
Electronics in schools.
electronics for schools, right? Because
So that's
they're
new.
breaking all the time.
That's a new request, right?
Is it now?
No, we had in there.
That was a COVID thing.
Yeah. Well, that was, but then
We dropped it. I think we dropped it because COVID was over.
I think we dropped it.
And they actually said they weren't doing it.
Well, because everything was remote, but now.
It's fine, I'm just saying that's.
Oh, yeah.
We're just creating new language for it. I mean, we can go back to the language we had a while ago, but I'd rather just start some new stuff that you got from.
Yeah, and I think Josephine, you're not saying more iPads, you're saying support for the electronics in the schools.
The maintenance of it, right, because the actual iPad would be capital, right? It's the maintenance that will be expense.
Yeah, okay, so that's.
Splitting hairs.
So that's the.
So number 3 says, that's the bilingual educators and mental health professionals, it says check with school. But I'm curious what the outcome is.
Which one is this?
Because to me, that would be more of a priority. than
Number 1.
keeping up
That's
with
right.
the electronics, but what do the schools say?
I mean, this list that I have here, Jesse, I didn't see anything on this list for that.
None of the principals asked for.
Yeah.
By
But that's a big
But
piece.
again, to be clear, I will say the focus was on capital. So the requests that what we do is we take the list of things that were not funded through Reso-A, either from the council member or for the elected borough presidents, and we ask them, do they still think this is a priority? Do they want us to advocate for that? Someone needs to change their mind, someone's going to say yes. So it's in terms of staffing that we didn't really dive into that with the principals, but we're not removing it. I mean, we're sitting just pushing it, we're bringing it down.
I think with the migrants coming in, that this would be extremely important.
Well, that's why I was there.
Well, we could leave that then as number 3, the bilingual educator / social workers, because I know one thing that they have been doing is that they're no longer going to fund in all of the schools that had high numbers of asylum seeking students, or just STH in general. This is even before the asylum seeking. They had someone who was designated to help these families, like a parent coordinator specifically for students in temporary housing. That job has basically been eliminated, which is not good. So, and they're also most likely going to eliminate the DOE position in the shelters, which is also not good. Yes, yes. So that is awful. So, there's no presentation on it, but in my conversation with PS33, that's what's happening. So,
what do you think the consequences are gonna be of the new 60-day thing that Adam says he's gonna do, where the families are gonna have to move? Are these families gonna move out of schools and then new families are gonna move in?
yes, that's right. We can bring this to. Unfortunately, you're right. We do this all the time. I mean, they literally will close down shelter and then the kids are gone. They move somewhere else and you don't see them again.
In terms of the budget request for the school, they might have a revolving door of kids.
So So in terms of expense, can I make this, can I run a suggestion?
Yes.
We have after-school program as number one.
Right.
The baskets and the position cleanup is number two.
Right.
We have the bilinguals as number three.
Yeah.
And then we have the maintenance of the education devices as number four. I mean, that's your top four. I'll be honest with you, as Leslie knows, and everybody else is part of the budget task force. We get to around 25 and then we say, okay, everything else gets thrown in the back. So I think that's gonna be.
Great.
Those four will be in the top, will be in the top 20 to 25.
So could I ask you?
So the rest of this, if everybody's come to the start date, so unless there's something specifically that I think we want to remove as a win, I do see some stuff that I think we can, frame as somewhat of a win, what is it, the organic stuff, I mean, there's some stuff that's moved forward.
We can take the organic.
We can take the organic stuff off. We can call it into that some progress on that, so we're glad to see that, but if there's anything, unless there's anything else on here that we really think we should take off.
Where's the maintenance?
The maintenance is new.
Not here, it's
The
new.
maintenance
was on a previous one, probably 23.
No, but I'm sorry, the maintenance came from a conversation you guys had with the superintendent this year.
Yeah.
So it's not on
We
there.
skipped a year.
So.
And that was an issue that was brought up as a gate.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, we had the, what it was, we had the, what happened was we had the meeting with the superintendents last year, filing with educators and mental health professionals was the prior event, so that's why we should.
So we're not gonna do number 42, which is in middle region. What about the containerization?
We're leaving it on.
Yeah.
I know, but you wanna raise it up.
Okay, what about the containerization and automation? I think
What
that,
number?
that's
What
what
number?
you said.
There's a pilot program for that.
Well, I know, but we also should try to get more involved, in that, because that would be key to cleanliness. Like, if you saw
There's
this
not putting containers on the street right now. You can't ask for containers on the street because they're not doing it, because it's a pilot program going on in Harlem. So once a year from now, they'll come back to the community, this is what we got, this is what we did, then you start asking for containers. Throw off a couple of cars here and there, whatever, maybe take some bike racks out or whatever.
What? Charlie, stop.
No, you think-
Was that recorded?
But I mean, no, but also actually, someone told me there's a loophole where if it's residential, you can put containers on the street, if it's commercial, you can't.
So, yeah,
But we're getting into nuance.
somebody has to put it on there.
Can I?
Can I have just one question? One, I'm sorry, just to remind everyone also, and just going into Thursday, if there's an arts ask, I'm just curious what your the committee's first arts ask, everyone's gonna keep.
I think you should do the letter you just did.
You did it, it's better for the update.
The mayors.
The letter to the mayors.
I just want to put it in everyone's memory.
The small theater study.
And not the libraries?
Oh, no, I didn't consider the artist, I didn't consider the library.
Oh, okay, great.
No, I
Okay,
think,
all right.
that's because the library's capital, so I. mean,
I was
that's-
thinking
that's-
that's about the library.
Oh, but I mean the ESL
I
classes.
wonder if you should-
Exactly. If that's,
Right.
is that a capital or an expense?
That's an
That's
expense.
expense.
So that's what I was wondering, like.
So you want to make that number 5?
Yeah, because I think the
Okay.
mayor's on, I think they'll do that report. I think so. We can make that number 5.
No, I'm just saying, you're right, so, okay, so, all right, so ESL is number 5.
In my-
All right, so I think you have your top 5 expense.
Yeah, moving on to capital.
So CSL and the libraries, remember how they were offering more classes? We want to have that here.
Continue that, yeah.
Right. So BYCD had that small program.
Yeah.
But they were doing it in the bigger shop.
And we sure you sent a letter asking that that be.
Yeah.
And then you said about art, and you mentioned they would be able
I
to.
said, it's not-
I'm doing the line.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So that's.
So do we not want to include that, because I don't think the study is in there. I'm just- no, we don't include the study. We don't want to include the study at all.
Oh, yeah, we should include it.
Yeah, but I'm only doing the top one.
No, I'm just saying.
Included in the.
All right, so we can put it, in- I mean, if everyone, but I'm saying,
Yes.
we'll put it as number 6.
Yeah.
I do think, maybe with the help of Leslie, we go through the sanitation stuff and clear out stuff that Because I think it's better to also start fresh for next year, get rid of
Yeah.
WP's taking over. Let's get rid of this,
Yeah.
all the things that have been progress, and just say, great job, we got some progress on it. They finally listened to you. Okay, that's great, expenses done.
I'm gonna be all over the art next year.
Okay.
I'm
It's
being
number-
quiet now because I came in at the end.
Inga, it's number 6.
That's better than it's ever been, so thank you.
Yeah, very much.
Okay, so capital.
stuff like security cameras, building, telephone.
This is capital. We're going to capital now. Right, so this is separate. So now we're going to capital. Wait, I'm sorry, you guys are ACES.
Are these prioritized?
They are prioritized in how they ranked. How they rank in the master list. So you'll see on the priority numbers 5, 10, 15. But I have to say, I think that's follows your ranking from last.
Oh,
year.
this is not priority on it. So,
This is capital.
I don't know why
Yeah.
it's this view. Let me change this view.
And then the small print document, just recent request from.
That's recent.
Should we start with that one, then, the small, with the request from the principals, the newest one?
Here's my suggestion about the thing for the principals, and I don't know if I'm repeating myself to everybody. I apologize. You can tell me to shut up. We have historically this, with principal asks us for something, we put it on. And I think if there's certain requests, because typically your capital have been broad district-wide requests, you know, Wi-Fi for everybody, water fountains, bathrooms for everybody. I think we got some progress on the bathrooms, and then we have some ones that are outstanding. I think the details are great for that. And then I think with this principals, I think if there's 2 or 3 principal requests that we think need to be elevated,
Okay.
I think we elevate them, so then when we go into on Thursday, Leslie knows those really matter to the committee, right? And the rest, I think we have to accept that they're gonna be in there, but they are gonna be low or lower. And so I think that's my suggestion, rather than getting to like every request, I think you guys pick like the ones that 2 or 3 that you really do think are the, if there are any, if you feel like they're all worthy, and then I think it just makes it a little bit harder to, they're all gonna be low.
The big number 1 request on this lab middle school, who wrote that? And what is additional information? It says lab middle school 333 West 117th Street, which is the 5th one down, and on the extreme right, when it says additional information. There's number 1 request.
I don't know, are you looking for the capital request?
If you're looking at the updated funding.
I put the updated funding to the cap.
Those, the principal list.
Yeah.
This is the problem with printing up so many.
That is number 1.
That's my.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, that, in that building, there's 5 schools that share the building. And unfortunately, in one of the schools, the bathrooms are so bad that the kids are actually going into a lab to use the bathroom, which is completely unacceptable. So that would be, to me, has to be either 1 or 2 to get the bathrooms fixed in that building. Yes.
Okay, so it's right number 1.
Yeah, because they have to have working bathrooms. You can't have kids from one school going into another school to use the bathroom. That makes no sense at all.
So what is this? Sorry, are you on the, this request is already been funded?
So you're on the principal list, the really teeny tiny writing, the one, the really small writing man.
Got it.
Sorry.
No, I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So then this would be, do you see
I think
the number 9, the new museum school? So here, he talks about student bathrooms in serious disrepair, which includes damages to the floor, exposed pipe or fittings, and non-functioning stalls. In response, students have attempted to access bathrooms in other schools,
So
like lab and so forth.
can I ask a question, Josephine? So
Yes.
right now, your number 1 capital is the Wi-Fi. Your second is the bathrooms across the board, across the district. So are you suggesting are you wanting to pull, you want to make, I understand you want to highlight that
Yes,
particular
yes.
principal request. Do you still want to keep the 2 that you have as, are you suggesting you make that number 3? Or do you want to Main, that individual principal request number one, and then go into the broader requests.
I think I'd like to do that. I just thought if we just bundle the bathrooms, it's gonna get lost in there.
Yeah.
Somehow they're not getting, this school, this building.
Every time you get more specific, the better.
Right.
Yeah, so again, I do think that you have specifics, you do have specifics this year on bathrooms, right? Because we were able to highlight. I think,
Which ones?
3 or so. That's-
Yeah, lab,
three schools.
museum,
Yeah,
Midtown
three schools
West.
that need bathrooms.
That's a funded Quest to Learn. I guess that's
Yeah.
Fashion High School, PS 33.
Okay, those are the ones that were funded.
Yeah.
The ones on the left are the ones that
Yes,
need.
So
Yeah,
we just
still.
put those three in the description.
Lab Museum in Midtown West.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's number 2.
yeah.
Like,
So do you want to keep number one?
Yeah, Wi-Fi, I'm not quite sure. I mean, when we talked to Kelly, was that really, no, we didn't really,
He didn't mention it.
No, yes.
Wi-Fi was mentioned by a number of principals.
oh,
I will say that will, see that, the thing about that is that I think the broader requests do cover a lot of the principal stuff. And so I do think if you keep Wi-Fi was mentioned a number of times.
okay.
So,
Oh, but maybe should we do the same thing though, and like specify Wi-Fi in these schools, because maybe they're like, oh, these schools already have Wi-Fi, so maybe we need to be specific.
Yes.
We don't have that list.
but we have the list of the schools that want
That
it.
ask for it.
Yeah,
right?
we have,
And
exactly.
the schools on the list of the principals that are asked for it, so.
Okay.
Well, so Beacon here requests greater Wi-Fi connectivity. I don't see it on others.
But you remember it being in more than one, Jesse?
I thought it was in more than one.
It could be, just small font.
Exactly.
Maybe
No
I'm
one's
wrong. Maybe I'm
fault at all.
I thought it was.
But that makes a difference if it's just one, and I don't know if we want to. do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so let's move Wi-Fi down,
But it's up to you. I mean,
and we're making. I just think it's peculiar that we're making one school, the priority is the bathrooms, and one
No,
school,
it's
and our
three
second
schools,
one, the
That's
second
that.
request is bathrooms for multiple schools.
It's 3 schools, it's
No.
lab, museum, and Midtown West.
Oh, yeah,
No,
we can't have
but-
both, we
but
should either
there's-
one or the other.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, I think we should either say bathrooms is number 1 and list the school that Josephine is highlighting, and but then the other 3 schools in the same.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Whoever
then
does it.
then that makes, so, all right, that's fine.
Well, we can say the lab school is the dire need.
Yeah, we can make one. Prioritizing. We'll prioritizing the last one.
Right, okay, so
Bathrooms is number 1, yeah. Do we, what do we want as number 2? Are we?
Security cameras.
That was on last year, but we're still waiting. for that.
Yeah, that, but that was
Yeah,
just
it's on
such
here.
a request, right? I was like, the only.
No, here, 51, yes.
Oh.
Here's 111 here.
Okay.
Well, to be
That's
honest
last
with you,
I saw that Midtown was supposed to
you're
ask.
probably gonna get the cameras, because Banks is like on that.
Okay.
There's a whole special,
Yeah.
the Chancellor, there's always a whole, special on News One, where he was pushing these security cameras because of, people coming into the schools like crazy.
They were pushing locked doors.
Right, but see, but the long.
But now
doors,
we're
like,
pushing the camera,
yeah.
where you can't get in.
I would like to recommend number 3 being the library.
Wait, hold on. I lost track. So
What's
so
2?
Yeah, what's 2?
Security cameras.
Okay,
Oh, we're gonna,
yeah, but.
Or no, I thought it was.
Jesse, moving on.
I thought it was.
I see what you're doing.
I'll move my library to 2 then.
No, I think security.
So but on the new principals list, I didn't see, like, I saw Beacon, but that was the, or no,
Midtown was mentioned.
Midtown West.
It's right here, this is the,
I mean,
who needs cameras or no? we-
I know, but that was from, they
You're
didn't
gonna
ask
get
for it
cameras,
this year, that was
that's
last, but they still need it. Okay, I mean,
No?
I guess so.
Unless they were from building, we don't know.
You're probably gonna get these cameras, because in fact, they.
It's never bad to ask for something we're going to get.
Right, I'm just letting you
A
know.
win-win if,
All right, so we're doing cameras across the board for the 3.
And if there's
for Beacon
specific.
and
These specific.
For those 4, yeah.
3 schools.
4 schools,
All right.
Okay, all right.
and Beacon, right?
No, that was what I thought, okay.
Oh,
All right,
Now in libraries, number 3.
I would like to, I would strongly recommend libraries. This is Columbus, this is our,
yeah,
our,
our perennial.
our redheaded stepchild of the library.
do we have an ask somewhere?
Yeah, so it's in the, it should be in the Dropbox.
I'm sorry, what's in the driveway?
It should be the library actually sent us a request.
Okay,
So I make a motion that the libraries, like Jesse said.
I said,
Okay.
Done.
Columbus, to be clear, we're doing Columbus, we're not doing Mullins.
okay, hey, what's
Right,
that?
yeah.
That's my library, though. That's my library, though.
Which one?
Looked at Muhlenberg.
Oh, it's looked up, but they've been
But it's funded, they've been funding for.
It's like never been funded.
Thank
They
you,
get
David.
Emergency funding, then they go back and say, oh, now it's back in the capital, we'll figure it out.
Muhlenberg got pushed to 2020. I would, probably a lot of different reasons to be done, but
I wish you make correct, David, money is being gained, the funding is like,
something's going on.
By the way, to the chairs, maybe we should reignite the ask for Columbus, not just on here, but in a you know what I mean? Be like, we've been waiting, this roof has been
Yeah.
in a letter, but separately, maybe next month. or so.
Okay.
Just have to keep it in the back of your mind.
Okay, so then, now what's 4?
So one is bathroom, 2 security cameras, 3 is the
Library, Columbus.
Columbus is $6 million.
Oh.
And they never asked us for $1 for Columbus in 4 years.
Wow.
And now
That's been-
all of a sudden there's $6 million because because the library's been left alone and been.
It is all, I know.
Yeah.
That's,
All right, so after, I'm sorry, so after the library is what's on number 4?
How about the library for, Business Sports High School?
Wait, what happened to
Which is
the- Water fountains, back of it.
Which we asked for last year also.
Bathrooms are all number 1.
No, but here, water fountains.
The water bottle fillers that they did.
Those are
ask for
number
that,
2.
but- Okay,
I think the elementary school got them.
all right, so, okay.
What about the elevators? That's a win.
Yeah, that is a win.
Good.
Yeah.
We need to get some wins here.
what about the elevator? For the Carlisle Russian, is that for handicapped students or?
For everybody.
Elevators
They're not.
For kids, you're not.
That's like $1
kids don't
million.
get there every year.
so not-
But if you're a normal kid,
It's an
you
enormous-
walk through the steps.
It's an enormous project. It's an enormous
Because
project.
It's
it's
$1
for the
million,
handicapped.
I know.
So the library for high school you want?
Well, I was thinking
Or the-
about,
the last
the low hanging fruit, the PS 51, they say they have a safety issue in their yard. Did you see this?
Yeah, that's getting dealt with.
Oh, okay.
That's getting.
All right.
Whoever's, the principal is very smart. He said, she copied the facilities guy. Really pissed off at facilities. guy. So he's like, I'm doing it, I'm doing it.
So I guess we could put either the bath, that's where the bathroom urine, the priority bathroom is coming in, right?
Well, no, because we're bundling that for the first pass.
what about,
Bundled
what
that.
about ADA access?
PS,
What
111,
what happened with that? Yeah.
nothing's
I mean,
happening.
listen,
Never.
that, remember you and I, when
That's-
still worked at, for Corey, we went on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that was years ago. I mean, obviously, COVID slowed everything down. It's gonna be a very big expensive project, but it's completely needed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know,
So should we have that as our number 4?
Just stay
Yeah,
PS 111 we talked about.
I think that's good as a first locals, like, besides the bathroom, that's the first kind of individual.
Yeah.
Local thing and like local.
Yeah, I would also think it's important to think about like the dispersion of projects we're looking at. So museum is in Chelsea, PS 111 is in Hell's
Oh.
Kitchen, just to make sure we're
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we've got that covered, but I think we should just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So I'm all for, I mean, my son goes to 111, so, but I think as far as neighborhoods are concerned, we should make sure that they're all.
Yeah.
They all get something on our list, and I think we've done that.
yeah, well, yeah, PS 11 though, I don't think got anything, they're not.
When we do these lists, do you like somehow, this little, just a little birdie, like some of the
Right,
you know?
right.
And this year, we finally did,
Fine.
actually, my question is separate from us. Or the advocacy groups and stuff like that, so they can also, rather than us just presenting this. 32% or separate, that, I want those.
There.
Oh,
That was just spoken chairs. Yeah. No.
Well, it's a school, so it's in the school, it's not like a whole.
Right, but in the still, I mean, it would be.
No, I mean, I don't.
Like a children's.
Can I make a suggestion for number 5, is the shifting down for Wi-Fi? or not?
Oh, sure, okay, you wanna do that, that's fine. I mean, one of the schools was talking about, a number of schools, Midtown West as well, they have need new windows, like they cannot open their
Yeah.
windows. It's the age of COVID and they're not allowed to, there's no.
That's
Supposed to be a wildfire in the other direction. You wanna get COVID out and keep the wildfire out.
Right,
depending on
that's
season.
true, yeah, which one?
All right, so you want to hit Windows number 5?
Let's go around the room, I'm just letting you know what was here, what I read.
We have,
so.
I think Wi-Fi is educational, I think that's very important, so kids can, right, connect and.
well, it
Can
can be
get
number
COVID.
5 or 6. It's
Well, it's
we're talking about 5 or
what that
6.
kids don't have get chips again.
My question is, do we have, I can't remember. I remember Windows, but I don't remember how many. Do we have more than one school?
Well, we had, Midtown West and we also had, the Bayer and Ruston.
220. That's a huge complex. So that's like 5 schools.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do Windows because that's gonna cover more.
Yeah.
And then we do Wi-Fi number 6.
Right.
How about that?
And Alan will be at Budget Task Force also to explain,
Yeah.
you know,
So that's 6. I think you're good. Unless there's something,
Great,
yes,
yeah.
unless we all think.
nice.
Well, again, I think if someone sees something on the capital list that says, oh, it's funded, we should take it off. But we'll leave everything else on as is. And what I'll do is I'll update the principal list. If everybody's comfortable with that. We'll update the principal list to make sure what it reflects what we got this year. So if they ask for something different than last year, we'll switch it out and then we'll go with that.
Great.
So we talked
Thanks,
about new
Debbie.
business, you're
We
wrapping
need a
up,
vote.
just,
We need a vote.
no, we need a vote, on what? What are we voting
We're
for?
voting on the
Oh.
prioritizations. We can go through them again, just so everyone. Okay. So for expense, we have the after-school program.
Yep.
After-school programs, and that's across the board, I think, right?
Yes,
Then 2, we have sanitation, which is the baskets and the precision cleaning.
Yep.
Number 3, oh, I can't read my own handwriting here.
Bilingual.
Bilingual,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
It looked like buildings, like bilingual, staff. Number 4 is maintenance for technology, for BOE technology. Number 5 is ESL, classes.
In the shelters.
But that's, just be clear, say that's in the shelters, that's.
Yeah.
in the shelters.
Oh, that's in the shelter.
That's
Yeah.
another right.
That's the DYDC program that
Yeah.
they're doing for the nurse.
Yeah.
Okay, capital, we have bathrooms with highlighting the bathrooms that still need it, specifically the one that Josephine is raising, security cameras. I don't remember what, if we have, do we have a list?
Midtown West.
Yeah, okay. As long as someone has the list, that's fine. You'll
Alan,
come to know.
right.
Number 3 is the Columbus Branch Library.
Yep.
Number 4 is PS 111 ADA.
Yeah.
Number 5 is the windows of the multiple schools that we've got.
Second. Yes. no,
What?
I think
No, the principal said it was still his partner.
Yeah,
So, yeah, he listed it.
it's PS 111, not.
Oh, one of them, I'm sorry.
No, not 11, 111, sorry, yeah, 111, I mean, 11. Yeah, it's fine.
They're perfect.
5 is the windows with the multiple schools, and then 6 is the Wi-Fi, and we can highlight one school at least in our principal list.
but I just didn't hear you mention on expenses, number 6 was the updated study, right? On small NDP.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, we didn't want to do that, so we don't want to. Well, so that's, you know,
Number
7.
Seven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, we had it as number 6 on the expense.
On expenses, it's number 6,
Oh, number 6 was the study, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Peter study, yep. Great,
We're voting?
Okay,
you're voting.
sorry. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Or is it non?
You guys are proficient. 8:30. Thank you, Jessica.
Wait,
Thank
wait,
you.
so
Okay.
this back.
Okay.
Jesse, can you pull up the flyer?
Yeah,
In the Dropbox, so, we want to connect with. So far, the ask is just for 100 books, which is not a lot of books. I do want to reach out to one other shelter, the one on West 49th Street. I still have to get their contact information. I tried the Skyline, never heard back, so. This other shelter is also going to be, you know, the population there is mostly English, some Spanish language. It's basically the same mix that the other shelter is. So I don't know if we're going to need more than 100 books. If it's only 100 books, maybe we just partner with one school, that might be enough. On the flyer, you see, she did a great flyer. She was asking for new books if possible. And she didn't specify the amount on there, but I think that's fine. So I really wanted to know from the parents on here, are you willing to take that to your PTAs? Is that something that you feel comfortable doing? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
okay. So maybe we can start with the two schools then, you're 111 and you're in Town West.
And that's just presenting it to the PTA. And saying,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Here's a flyer. And let's
Yeah, and if they want to
Send us out.
yeah, if that's something that they want to do, maybe just putting a box in the lobby so they can come and the shelters will actually come pick up the box from the school. So we could set an end date, deadline. And say we want, maybe 50 books from one school, 50 for another, if we get more, that's great. And then coordinate with the shelters and then to come pick it up.
Point of information, will some of the books be in Spanish? Because there was somebody who came to our committee a couple of months ago and said that even if the parents aren't literate in English, if they're literate in Spanish or another language, she meant, then they'd be more successful and later on they'll catch on.
Yeah.
It says it in
Yeah.
English, Spanish.
All right, that's great.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping for some Spanish, but the shelters that were going to be, the shelters that I targeted were the ones that had space, like they could have dedicated space to have the books out, not just put them in a storage room and then nobody sees them again. So the Skyline was a good one because they have a whole floor upstairs, but no one's calling me back, and that's almost all asylum seekers.
I
but-
wonder, would reaching out to Iris for Skyline help, because I know that she has people there.
We could, they change all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't heard from Iris, but I will. reach out to her.
I'm happy to, if that would be helpful, so.
Okay, absolutely.
offline, I can maybe help you with that.
Oh, please, okay, because they really need them. That's gonna be a tougher one because that's gonna be almost, we really definitely need Spanish language books for that one. So that's gonna be harder, but we can try.
Okay, and then, I think this is a great flyer.
Yes, it's great, love it.
And we've also, haven't we also heard from I'm blanking, what's the private school that's come and presented to us? Haven't they said that they would do it a second? I'm just wondering, so shouldn't we do 2 public schools, but also maybe Senator Avenues?
If we can get the Skyline, then maybe we ask Avenues to do like actually buy Spanish language books. That would be helpful.
That's
Because
great,
they
yeah.
don't do that.
Also, there are certain African languages some of these kids, I don't know if they're now shelters not,
Russian is another,
but especially the African.
Yeah.
It's a significant, it's a minority, but it's.
Yeah, but,
they're all different
But
languages.
they must be uptown, maybe.
well, no, it's regular, they're mostly from Senegal, which is a Francophone.
Charlie's
French.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Who's the town Open Heart?
Open Hearts Initiative, they do, they've been funded by Columbia. They really started out as a 1 or 2 person team. They were all volunteer. They were going to shelters on the Upper West Side and welcoming people and doing stuff on the sidewalk, setting up tables. Neighbors would come and donate toiletries and they could give them out. And then they actually got a grant from Columbia University. And so now they're like a real organization doing great work. So
And they did a lot of work at the Skyline Hotel. with
Yes.
Migrant families in the meeting.
yeah. So they're great to partner with. Yeah.
So they're based at Columbia?
They're based in Midtown. They have an office.
Oh, it's all in
Midtown.
the
I think
Should have them come to Triple HS.
Yeah, I can start on that.
I keep on getting the email and then.
We have some space on that agenda.
I keep on getting the emails. and then
I have a-
volunteer for it. It's never fun.
That's the book part. So I will work with them to get a deadline and then get the flyer to you guys and then Jesse, we could put it in the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I would just mention, and I know that this, maybe just, you want to check with your PTAs, I know that one issue with various drives at the school where I was PTA president for so long, is that they said that having boxes in the lobby, they found that there was a problem, especially for food drives and things. Anyway, we just make sure. we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do whatever they do. Your question?
No, that was.
Oh, okay, so for new business, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that next month, we want to do a forum on drugs in schools, and I think this is a huge topic. That's not getting enough information. You could have, of course, the DOE to find out what exactly are you doing to mitigate drug use in schools, but somebody from the Office of Cannabis Management, it's more than cannabis though. I think, Jesse, you had recommended someone.
Well, the city, I just think this, I'll be honest with you, because I'm dealing with them on the dispensary side, they're overwhelmed. I don't think we're gonna get anybody, and I think it'd be very difficult to get somebody, and they are completely just on the licensing component. I know that they should be in charge, they should be also focusing on the enforcement of unlicensed places, but their hands are full. I think the city has a czar, you know, we had her speak at the forum we did over the summer, or at the beginning of the summer. I thought she was great. I think someone from her office would be great. And it's city and it's local, so it's like much more involved in like what's happening in our city, not like on a state level. That's basically a bureaucratic policy that represents dispensary application.
And are we talking about like, are we focusing on some specific drugs? Because I know that I've heard from some schools that they're just very concerned about the vaping, whether it's
Right. I think
not drugs
kind
or
of,
drugs.
I think we're kind of lumping it in because there's so many.
Uh,
And so this would be like a forum, like the forum that we did.
yeah.
Yes,
That was good.
similar to that, have maybe one of our electeds on. And I would love to have a doctor on. I think we had one, was it yours? We had someone came on with the Narcan.
No, she's on your-
Okay. So, but I wanted to hear from you all, like, you don't have to say it tonight, but like, if you have an idea of somebody else that would be good for this forum.
We did a drug successful one. When was that, Jesse? That was like during COVID.
That was
Which one?
supposed to kind of be interesting, right? Who wrote the letter?
We did the
Something
forum.
Complicated.
During COVID.
Yeah.
On what?
I forgot what was it.
On
It was like
education.
diversity,
You
yeah.
did two education forums, which I thought was great, which is more,
We had around.
it was more about how you're actually opening the schools and doing virtual learning and all of that.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So that would be a replace of your committee, trust me, is the idea that would be a replace of the committee meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to be wider than just a community.
Yeah, well, we could get notification to all the PTAs, and we get a lot of parents to show up. Would this have to be on the Monday night that we usually, because I just want to make sure we have enough time.
Well, I'll be honest, that's what I'm asking. If
Okay,
it's replacing the committee, then we're just swapping it out.
yeah, yes,
Great.
okay,
But that does put us, putting you in.
Oh, for this, for next
in
time.
a time thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say, like, if you're trying to do it on another night and want more time, then I would think maybe. Well, I'm biased, I'm always gonna say it'd be better if you replaced your committee, because then it's not. another
Okay, we
night to
do,
figure it
yeah,
out.
December committee.
So then I think if either you wanna think about it for either November or December.
Yeah, December committee.
December could be good.
Well, it's where,
It's a
but
committee meeting anyway.
ACES is early in the holiday
Yeah.
season.
And where would be your venue?
oh, no, we're just doing it, I mean, the panels would be online, we're just gonna be here, I think.
That's what we did we did that.
Yeah, we did
It was
it
all Zoom.
on Zoom before, we did 2 forums, and they worked out really nicely.
Very.
I think it might be easier though if we did it in December, just because it gives time to ask more people stuff.
That's fine,
We've
okay,
done it
so, all right, okay. So we'll come up with
So
some.
this sort of like this, just looking back, so we're all making sure we don't discover that the committee is missing on in this.
Wait, what was that, Jesse? I didn't.
I said, I just want to make sure about December date, to make
Okay.
sure we're all on the same page. So that's December 11th, yep. Thank you, John. So that's December 11th, as long as you're all comfortable with
And
December
that's
11th.
during Hanukkah, but it's not the first or the last day, so it should be fine.
That would be our meeting or the forum we're talking about?
That's not the one.
Same.
That's the same night as the meeting.
Same night,
Yeah.
in place of a meeting.
Tell me now I won't be there.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to pick the date. All right, so December 11th is our forum.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lucky here.
Yeah.
There we go.
I have one question. This is, so just, and this is really for Jesse, does WPE from now on starting November, take over DSNY? Is this the transfer of power?
Transfers officially. over.
Transfers over.
The S is fallen off of it.
The S, oh, really? It's on here.
What?
I want to keep the S of schools. I don't want to see acronyms, so we would be.
ACE, no, ACE committee is like tough, we're ACE. I don't like.
I mean, I think that we
So it's
should do-
education, It's arts, culture, education in schools. Okay.
Yes, because I actually checked a couple of community boards and they actually do have schools, like education, quite
Okay.
so much
Right.
broader
Yeah.
schools.
I just
Okay,
read that.
That's easier. I don't have to.
Yeah.
Ask more.
Education, like
Yeah.
ELS.
Yes, the answer to your question is Leslie.
Today.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
You are officially now in charge of sanitation, and we want to know where you are. with that. Play for it's really well.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Oh, no, we're gonna change it to schools. Is everybody comfortable with the S?
Yes.
Yes.
Sanitation, its own committee, what are you saying?
No, sanitation issues will be handled by WPD. Yeah.
Under the environmental
When
ban.
do they meet?
When do they meet?
Yeah, when do they meet?
Every month, we meet every month.
No, I'm like, what's their day?
They meet,
Thursday.
they meet, yeah, they
First
typically the
meeting,
second,
Thursday.
second.
Thursday.
Second Thursday.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Wait.
Oh. That was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Inga.
Thanks, Inga.
Thank you.
Bye, Inga.
Hey, Inga.